Okay, so it takes me a few times to record VOD reviews because I have to go over everything over and over and over again until I get the last recording, which turns out to be the right recording, so I think this might be the right one. Anyways, just to start off, I play on PC, I don't play on console. This is a console video, so there might be a few things that I don't exactly know, like how to refer to them, but when I say press tab, I mean press the button that brings up what the enemy team has, what your team has, and what your medals are. So like, I don't know what that button is on whatever you're playing, but console, but I say press tab when that's what I mean. So I'm a PC Pharah main, DPS main. But despite that, I will be able to help you out with Ana. I'm not going to be able to pick out like the extremely technical things that heavy Ana mains will be able to see in your gameplay. But what I have to say right now is actually, it's kind of general, but if you think about it during your games, you will improve because they are quite important. There's about 3 different topics that you did carry on throughout the game that did impact how the game went. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go through, find a few examples of them, and then at the end of the video, I'm just going to recap all of the specific and general things that you need to improve on. So if you don't want to watch the video whole and you don't want to see the different examples of what you did wrong, you could just skip to the end of the video and listen to what I have to say to you about just the general, like the different, like, okay, you need to improve on this, you need to improve on this and this. If you just want to hear that, you could skip to the end, but I don't recommend it. So right off the bat, I just want to say you have really good communication with your team, especially in Hero Select. And I'm gonna sneeze. Oh my god. Okay, I'm good. So you have really good communication with your teammates. You say, I'll fill, you know, I will, you know, play what you're comfortable on. That's very good. Don't listen to people when they say, we have to have 3 tanks and 2 healers and a soldier, or we have to have 2-2-2 comp or whatever. I don't know what the deal is on console, but don't listen to people when they're telling you that something has to be a certain way when it comes to composition. It's really good that you tell your teammates to play what they're comfortable with, because protest picks are sometimes worse than comfort picks, and you really want to be mindful of not tilting your teammates, and so you did a very good job. The first thing that I wanted to say, just this is kind of like selfish, I guess. As a Pharah main, I really don't feel like I get enough healing from Anas and just healers in general that aren't like, you know, just healers in general that aren't Lucio. I feel like I don't get enough healing when I'm in a weird position compared to them. And this is mostly in Diamond and below, when I play in Diamond and below. If I'm smurfing or something. I don't know, it's because of the positioning difference. Maybe I know what I'm doing and the Ana knows what they're doing, but our positioning ideas are completely different. And your positioning was something that you carried on throughout the game that wasn't the best, so I will help you out on that. Not sure if where I went with the whole Pharah thing made sense, but I hope it does. So the first thing that I wanted to say, you start the game with your positioning on the right side of the bus. Before I go into this, your positioning was like kind of okay, but kind of like, I wouldn't call it very good. I mean, it was useful in some situations, but it could use improvements, and this is one of the examples of it not being that good. Being on the right side of the bus, just straight off the bat, the enemy team, if they stood on the point, they'd be able to see anybody standing right over here. Obviously not you right now unless they were above. You can't really see your teammates on the left side of the bus. You can't see her far above you. I mean, you can, but it would take a little bit of time just to look up at her, and your teammates could be getting shot at right over here, obviously. This position isn't the best. It's better to be on the left side or on a high ground.
Oh gosh, guys.
I just bubbled you. You should have.
You could have grenaded there, but I mean, whatever.
Don't push him too far.
You could be a little bit more opportunistic with your grenade as well.
Oh, they just helped me get out.
So this positioning isn't very good. Because of what I just said, and also if you were going to heal the people on the left side of the bus, you'd have to run over, heal them, and then come back. That's important because your Zenyatta was also on this side, and there was a Pharah in the air, there was whatever on that side, and just important to think about.
Reinhardt frozen. Reinhardt, nice. Reinhardt down. Let's get,
Something happened over here with the symmetric turrets. By the way, you should probably press tab before you start the game. Like, obviously, not before you start the game, but like around this area, you should probably press tab or whatever it is, just to see what the enemy team has on their team, what their comp is, what your comp is, just so maybe if you wanted to alternate a few things, maybe if you want to prepare for things like a teleporter, you'd be able to, because you could see what their comp was. You don't really press tab throughout the game too much, or whatever the button is to bring up your medals and that sort of thing. Which is kind of a problem, which is something that you do need to do a little bit more. Like, I press it after every death and whenever I have a chance. So, yeah, I always want to see if they're swapping something, if they are, like, what their team comp is. I want to see if we got a kill, if we just used our ult, if somebody from their team swapped off because of what we did. That's really important. So right over here, back to what I was saying, there's some extra turrets up here, teammates over there. You could have used your nade to like kill some turrets and possibly heal your teammate. Zarya could bubble him, you know, but just be a little bit more opportunistic with the grenade, like I'm saying. Just probably go for kills a little bit more, be a little bit more aggro, because your playstyle is very shy. And that would make it really easy for like some sort of flanker to say, I'm going to kill Barana because she's really shy. She's standing back from the team. They're not going to be able to turn around and help her that easily. And I will have examples for that as well. So here we have it. You know, he dies. Probably could have worked out a little bit better than that. Killed a few of the turrets.
Fly up there and probably get
You use your nade a little bit too late over here. I don't know if it's because you thought somebody was going to run in front and catch it instead. Or you thought it was going to be wasted, but you could have just thrown your nade out instead of trying to shoot. Obviously, be a little bit more opportunistic.
Alright, first we need to get that mercy before anything.
That's on the grenade side of things.
They have a teleporter?
Right over here, I just wanted to note that you could like look up because your Pharah flew above
I'm destroying the teleporter.
at some
Yes,
point.
they no one even got the teleporter.
She's above anyways, but she flew above. You just need to look at her a little bit more. Make sure that your Zenyatta's doing the job he needs to be doing. In a previous recording that I did of this that didn't work out, I said that I'm a Pharah main. I am a one-trick Pharah. Like I don't play anything else. I mean, other than maybe Lucio and D.Va, but despite me being a Pharah main, I could still like go out and look at videos or kind of play for a few minutes on a different hero, and that would give me really good ideas of like, just for like 5 minutes of playing one hero, you get a really good idea on who they're supposed to be shooting, if they're supposed to be healing certain things over other things, if they're where they're supposed to be standing, what works out. Like, obviously depending on what rank you're at, how much experience you have, how much you learn from playing a hero in a short amount of time will vary, but like what I said was, if your teammates are doing a certain playstyle and you main support, it'd be nice to play other heroes once in a while to tell your teammates if they need to step up a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Because your D.Va's playing very shy, just like you. You don't know if your Zenyatta's doing his work. You're just kind of trusting your teammates, which is a really good idea, but you also need to be looking out for if they're doing their job. It will help you improve as well, like if you recognize behaviors of other heroes.
It's just a scratch. You'll be fine.
And weird behaviors too, because as a Pharah main, like, I know that the traditional way of playing Pharah definitely does not work when you're playing at higher ranks. It doesn't. So just be mindful of those things. I have something to comment on your positioning. Right over here somewhere. Oh, right. Okay, so when I was talking about flankers earlier, and how you are playing shy, this is exactly what I meant.
Let me get that arrow.
So, there's this corner, this beautiful corner, and you are standing behind it. You're playing back, that's good, but this, like, you can move up a little bit more, and I'll show you why.
Reinhardt frozen. Ha, he's powered up and he's frozen.
I got it.
So we're not going to worry about that other than the fact that it's a kill, okay? So you're being shy, you're like sidestepping around the corner quickly to heal and then come back just in case. But in reality, if you were actually like assessing the situation, you'd know that there was nothing that would kill you if you were standing with your teammates. There's nothing unless there was somebody behind you. And I don't know if you've thought about that, because like obviously I'm not you, but here we go. If we had a better positioning, which would have been closer to your teammates, at around like
Roadhog frozen.
this point right here, if you were closer to your teammates, it would have been easier for you to like, for your team to get another kill, because you're playing very shy for one, which makes flankers have you as a target. You're not close to your team, which determines what the decisions that you make in where you're going to go if somebody were to flank you. And you might get a quicker kill if you are closer to your team, because let's say somebody was behind you, you would call it out, and depending on how close you are to them, the faster or slower, I guess, they will respond to killing that person and helping you out, because technically they'd be helping themselves out if you were like right beside them. So
Alright, on a...
here's the flanker, okay, and
Soldier behind, guys.
you separate yourself from your team, I guess, because you're like behind them. You're far away from them, and you feel like if you run back, he'll have too much time to shoot you when you die, so you kind of keep going the direction that you're going. And that's just on the topic of positioning, that you need to be better at determining where you want to be, depending on the situation.
On it down.
So like nothing bad comes out of this. You don't lose, it's fine, but you definitely want to worry about that. I have tons of positioning errors that I could show you in your gameplay, but not too many that are like big problems. What else do we have? Oh, playing the game and like listening to sounds is like an extremely important topic. So let's say when I'm playing, even if I hear a footstep that's not on my team, or even if it is on my team, I'll call it out, because I mean, it's really important, and it could determine if you are all killed by an ultimate or whatever. And I definitely have an example of this. So listening to sounds is extremely important. Usually if it was on PC, I'm not sure if like sensitivity is a big deal on console, but like I would talk about listening to the sounds, determining if your sensitivity is right for you and the hero that you're playing, and stuff like that. But since you're on console, I don't know. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the sound thing. Don't want to ramble too much. But right over here, there's a Reaper that teleports, and I could hear it in the video, so that means you must have been able to hear it. And as soon as you hear it, you need to call it out. Okay, Reaper teleported, and give an idea of where. Because
Wait, I gotta get my neck back.
we hear it.
Mommy, you get combined with
Right there, it happened. You hear it. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but it did happen. And nobody calls it out
with the fire.
until he drops down, eventually.
Time it
Look on top.
Right there. And it's called out, and it's a little bit late.
Oh, never mind, he's on top.
So just listening to things, yada yada, whatever. Really important. So we've gone through like using a grenade a little bit more effectively at different like opportunities, be more opportunistic with your grenade. We've talked about your positioning and also listening to different sounds, but I need to just go on a little bit more of the positioning rant, because that is probably by far your biggest problem. One of the examples right over here is there's a bastion, and I'm just going to point out why this is bad. First of all, high ground is extremely good to take. It's extremely good to have high ground over your enemies at all times. And let's just forget that there was a bastion here that was above you from the beginning. Just forget that he killed you. Just forget that it was a bastion. Just forget there was an ult. Keep in mind a little bit that you used your sleep. You're on the low ground, bastions, whatever that is above you, okay? And you're in front of it. That's really bad positioning, because he could just blow you up. And what if you miss your sleep? What if your teammates can't help you? Then you're messed up. Like, it's over, dude. And so that's why high ground is really good to take. You always want to be taking this thing back here when you can. On the first point, high ground to the left side of the point. In attacking, you know, it's whatever, like defense. High ground is really good to take at all times. And let's just forget that you died here and that you used your sleep. And let's just realize that being on high ground would have been better. You would have also been behind him, and you probably would have got your sleep out because he probably wouldn't have known. Unless he heard you, obviously. That's where the sound thing comes in again. Not too many more things, just another sleep dart comment that I have. You could have slept the Farah. The Farah that was over here.
Behind you, Reaper. Come back.
Farah comes up, she ults, you could have slept her. Maybe you weren't ready for it, but just like, try at least. Just, your reaction time needs to be a little bit quicker for these things. Just like, go for the sleep, you know, whatever. Always be thinking of every single person on the enemy team. Number one, do they have their ult? Or are they close to getting it? Number two, that obviously takes experience to know. Number two, do they look like they're going for their ultimate? Or they're trying to get in position to get their ultimate? So for instance, a soldier behind, or a Pharah behind, or a diva who's being really aggressive, or a Zarya who's being aggressive. Maybe they're trying to throw Graviton or Bomb out. Who knows? Maybe Diva's not worried about her mech blowing because she wants to ultimate anyways. So those kinds of things will get you really prepared to pull out your sleep dart, because, you know, you'll be ready for them if they happen, and you'll know where they're going to happen, and you're going to know more or less where to shoot if they happen. So, I just want to say on that note, I did do a VOD review for another Ana, and their problem was that they used their sleep dart too much, and they used it before something big happened, when they could have saved it, and they could have waited, and then used it when the big thing happened, so that, you know, like for instance, Rocket Barrage didn't kill their teammates. So don't be that Ana when I say this. Like, don't be like, okay, I need to use my sleep dart more, so you start using it more and you start deranking because you're like sleeping irrelevant things. But, you know, just be ready. Like, always be thinking, could something happen, and if it does happen, will I be able to sleep dart it? Also, the same thing with your positioning. Always be thinking, like, always think that anything could happen. If something could happen, it will happen. So always be thinking if your positioning is right for it to happen, whatever it may be, and, you know, if your positioning is good enough to keep your teammates and yourself alive. If not, just yourself, because obviously giving kills to the enemy is kind of a really big problem. As much as it might seem like it's not, because obviously you respawn, but it is. So that's my rant for sleep darts. That's kind of like all I wanted to talk about. I didn't see anything else that was like unique that you needed to improve on. You're using your grenades a little bit more opportunistically and a little bit more strategically is something you need to work on. Positioning, something you need to work on. And just like listening, I guess, is something that you need to work on. But other than that, you did really well. And I think you should keep that in mind, that you did really well. So just to end off the video, I'm going to go on and just show you really big examples of why positioning is helpful, and prioritizing your teammates over your enemies is helpful. You didn't have any problem with prioritizing your teammates over enemies, but just in case it gets to the point where you might, keep this in mind, the next two clips that I'm going to show you, because they're pretty important. And I don't know if it's just like a PC thing, or if it's like both, like some random stuff that I come across, but like people on PC who play Ana are extremely aggressive. They're like, you know, they prioritize killing and doing DPS over healing sometimes. I think I can carry if I purple everyone, or if I never use my grenade to heal, or if I'm always shooting the Pharah out of the sky. And I don't know if that's a PC thing or if it's also a console thing, but you do a really good job of not having those bad habits. But I'm going to go ahead and show you these like things anyways, just so that you can see them. So right around here on defense, this is on the positioning note. You have like low ground. I'm just gonna mute this really quickly. You have low ground here, which is Like you could have high ground up there, you could have high ground to this left side, you could have high ground behind you, not really to the right because you can't see anything there, or you could at least be in the building. But this is pretty bad positioning because like anybody could see you, like a Pharah could see you if they were above. This is pretty bad positioning, just to say the least, because they have easy access to you, and by they I mean the enemy team. And once your team and you get separated, if you're on the low ground, you don't have that many places to go. You don't have many escapes. You just have kind of like one obvious route to leave, because obviously there's only one obvious way you could get back to spawn, the one that you're closest to. So right over here, just the example, your teammates get pushed back from each other. See, like your Mercy dies, D.Va's out of mech, you guys get separated, and since you're on the low ground and you can't get to your teammates who are like spread out everywhere, you might want to call out, just like regroup, stay together, or whatever, because you're on this low ground and they all get spread out, they all get pushed around, and then it turns you into like a healer to a DPS on it, because obviously there's nothing you could do. You want to fight your way out, you don't want to die, you got to get out of it, and that's why that low ground was really bad. Just the last thing that I wanted to talk about prioritizing. Where is it? Who knows? It's really short, actually. Okay, so D.Va needs help right over here. Enemies are there. You go and you like are looking at the enemies. You could have just like healed D.Va. That's all. That's all I have to say. So this is the end of the video. This is where I get to like recap the important things. Number 1, like I said, using your grenade more strategically, opportunistically, mostly strategically. Number 2, better positioning, either closer or farther from your teammates or on high ground, or not in a place where you're basically cornering yourself off. Number 3, kind of like your mechanics, just listening to the environment around you and calling out everything. Number 4, helping your teammates do the best job that they can, as well as yourself. Maybe at the end of the game, if you're playing with random people, ask what you could have like improved on. That's what I do when I play a new hero. At the end of the game, I always say, okay, good game, we won, whatever, but what did I do badly and what can I improve on? And number 5, I don't know if there's a number 5, but I guess I'll just make it, keep thinking that you're doing a good job while thinking that you need to improve on things, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. Don't bring yourself down. Don't say that you're bad. Just be positive, and you don't need to care about your rank to rank up and try hard anyways. Do a really good job of talking to your teammates. You do a really good job of like focusing on what you think you need to do, and as long as you apply this stuff that I just mentioned to your game and focus on that as well, you'll rank up. It'll happen. You'll get better, more experienced, and it might happen really quickly or it might take time, but I know that when you're in the game, it's harder to like think about what you need to do as opposed to when you're outside of the game thinking, okay, the strat would be really good, or like it's really good for Lucio to do this or whatever, because in the game it's harder. You've got more things to worry about, more things grabbing your attention, but still try to think about these things a little bit more in the game as opposed to outside of the game when you're like trying to come up with what you want to do. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for like sending your video in. I really like doing these reviews. I'm doing this to improve myself as well, because obviously I only play like one hero. But I hope this helps you a lot, because I've done a lot of Ana VODs, and I always notice something different that they need to improve on, and I really like noticing those things. So thanks for sending in your video. I hope I didn't ramble too much, and I hope I got straight to the point most of the time. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, this is awkward.